Good morning, Maya back. Here's the plan. Well, actually, no. There is no plan. After the last 2 days, where the plan has changed so much from when I was kind of given the outline in first thing in the morning to the end of the day, I'm not going to bother today. What could possibly go wrong with that? First thing in our no plan day, this highlight wall, the tiles they've put up here. In fact, this will be one of 2 areas where we will have these tiles. So it will just be this section on this wall along the corridor. And I'll show you where the second section will be. Before we go to the second section, we'll just watch Frederick. He's just test fitting. Make sure he's just cut that piece to the right size. It looked perfect to my untrained eye. So it's going on the wall. We'll come back in a few minutes and hopefully see this finished. Just a little bit further towards the kitchen, we've got Mr. Herwin doing skim coating. And this part of the wall, as with most of the rest of this wall, we were just here a second ago, but all the rest of this wall, it will just be painted. We're going to try a white to begin with and see how that looks. But then, on this wall, so this is, if you take a right, you're going into the kitchen. If you take a left, you're going towards the other rooms. This will have the same highlight tiles just in this area. What I didn't notice yesterday was that there are actually 2 different stone look tiles here. So on the left side, the same ones that have already been put up and are going to go on the other end wall. These much darker grey, almost black ones will go just here, inside the dining room. The rest of the walls will again be painted. This will just be a highlight area. And if you remember from a previous video, the little gap in the wood up there between the 2 pieces of wood will be glass, a mirror effectively. And also in this long vertical gap, kind of the same thing, although it may not go all the way down to the floor because we've got a wall socket there. So we'll have to leave a little bit of a gap. We'll see how that develops. The plan that isn't a plan continues in the laundry room. And here, Mr. Rene is back to work on tiling the floor. So maybe that gets finished today. I did check with the builder this morning. This tile that has been used here is not going to be used all around the room. That'll be a different finish. We'll come back to that when they get started on it. Probably not today. In the home theatre room, singing Rico. And over to my left, original Rico. Back to work on the ceiling in here. Now, before they put any ceiling panels in, so after they finish the frame, they need to stop and we need to consider what kind of noise reduction material, sound insulation, are we going to put up above the ceiling panels, actually probably right on the, effectively the roof in here, because we really need to make sure we deaden the sound coming out of this room. So they won't be able to put ceiling panels in here even when that frame is finished, at least not for a while. But that frame is huge and will take them a long time anyway. In the upstairs hallway, Papa Jess and Mr. Romeo. In fact, all 3 of our electricians are back to work on lighting here. Now, they did test these yesterday, but I wasn't around. They're going to test them again. We will see where they have now put strip lights around these panels. So we'll come back to that in just a moment. It is broad daylight, but here we go. Lighting is functional. So there is Let's just try. Bappa Jess, can we switch off these one? So there we go. There's the LED strip lights around the outside of the panels. That's gonna look fabulous. And you just saw a moment ago, the LED strip lights are mostly in. Not quite all yet. But I really like that look. And here we are with the LED tube lights back on. And now quite bright. And remember, you're not picking this up properly again because it is daylight, but there is a very good level of light coming out of those tubes. It's all going to look fabulous. Further along, we got painter Ernie is beginning to bring back the wood appearance of these recessed areas, or this particular recessed area. So it's partly back towards what it is over here, but we're not there yet. In the master bedroom, painter Mr. Willie is once again skim coating. He's using something out of a tin that's called glazing putty, but as far as I'm aware, that is just effectively a kind of a skim coat for wood. Somebody will tell me that I've got that horribly wrong, but please put it in the comments, let me know. So they've taken away the wood-like appearance that is just there, but once again, I imagine that will come back as a later step. This is plumber Mr. Rennell inside the helper's bathroom, punching through the wall here, again, to have venting for the exhaust fan. Continuing the no plan, there is a plan to put tiles in the base of these cabinets. No one doing anything here yet. It's just a few minutes later, the wall is done. Or at least this part of it, where it's tiled, is done. The next step for Frederick is to go back to what was on the plan 2 days ago. He's putting string lines back here in the sunroom to start putting tiling down here. No, can it really be? The diggerator is working. But for how long? It's post-lunch. Let's go and have a look, see what they've been up to. First thing, Frederick on his 4th tile here in the sunroom, assisted by Elson over there, and eagle-eyed Manny keeping an eye on things. Owen still skim coating down here at towards the end of the corridor. Quite a bit more of that wall is done, getting closer to being ready for some paint. Mr. Rene didn't only carry on with this floor in the laundry room, he's finished it. Something I didn't expect. Tiled wash basin. That's looking very tricky in there. I'm not sure if I can get too much closer without stepping on tiles that are fresh. There we go. I did not see that coming. Singing Rico. And I think still original Rico, although he's off getting bits at the moment. Making quite a lot more progress with these support channels, these down channels in the ceiling for the home theatre room. And they have now done, I'm just looking over my head, I think they've done 3 walls. No, they've done 4 walls with that guide rail. Mr. Ernie with protective headgear, back on sanding duty. It's a never-ending process up here. And this channel actually didn't go back to brown yet. It's kind of still very, very light. So there's still quite a lot more work to be done inside there. Mr. Willie applying more skim coat with both 2 skim coaterators. And a moment ago, his finger. Hard to beat the hand sometimes. In the bathroom, for the gym and spa. Oliver making some corrections. We looked at the layout I mentioned a few days ago. The layout in here didn't really work. It's a pain for these guys, but the way it was set up, it just wasn't the best use of the space. So unfortunately, a fair bit of chipping out and quite a bit of re-plumbing will be required in here. But we do have Oliver back from his home trip to Manila. This is some mahogany that was on a tree that was cut down here. And we've got a little team, a very small team of guys, doing something for us. They're going to build us that little bar outside the dirty kitchen. Now, we're not using mahogany for that, we're using something else, but I'm going to go and show you what else they're up to. This is Marvin. And Marvin's here with his team of guys, just two other guys. And they are going to use this. This is June.
Master chainsaw.
Master of the chainsaw. And they are going to cut up this, which has been described to me as alamandros or alamandras wood, which I'm told is quite a hardwood. And we're going to try and see if we can carve a bit of this to make our kitchen, the dirty kitchen bar, the outside piece. So, here is a thought for the day. And this is part one, if you like, of the examples. In the Philippines, it's particularly in the provinces, you have small communities and everybody knows everybody, big families. These guys actually have a workshop that is 100 yards at most from our other little house. And they came recommended by somebody else in the family. Before I give you the thought for the day, I'll show you one more example. This is the other example. This is our little Mitsubishi Montero. And it developed a brake problem. Took it to the Mitsubishi service centre and they quoted us between 35 and 40,000 pesos to fix it. Brother-in-law, Koi Dong, said, I know a guy. That guy has just been, oh, by the way, Mitsubishi said it would take a month. Koi Dong said 2 days ago, I know a guy. Guy came today, put in exactly the same parts, less than 8,000 pesos. So, the thought for the day, I can't call it a lesson because that sounds preposterous really, it's a thought. And for those of you who actually live here already, I'm sure this has occurred to you a long, long time ago, but I'm a bit slow. It is well worth tapping into your family network, your provincial network, your village, because everybody knows somebody who does something that might well be useful for you. Now, I'm not suggesting that you should go to your second uncle to have a root canal if his normal thing of work is mending cars. But do bear in mind that a lot of the guys that work out in the provinces didn't have the money to go off to get the particular qualifications to do whatever it is, but they got years and years and years of experience. So, thought for the day, use that network if you are coming here. It can pay off in so many ways. That little thought has taken us to 4:30, end of the workday. Before we go inside, it is that time of day. And today, we're going to take something from Bob Twed Philippines 101. Guy goes to the doctor. He says, Doc, you got to help me. I'm addicted to Twitter. Doctor says, sorry, I don't follow you. I did talk to the builder this morning, and unfortunately this little structure will have to come down. It's just too much. So we will be using whatever those guys can cut into the shape of the bar, and then just attached much more simply to the wall with whatever they need to use, angle brackets, I'm not sure. They'll figure that out. But we don't need this great big support structure for that external bar. Inside the sunroom, we now have 9 tiles in place. So quite a big bit of the central area is done. There's a challenge ahead of them because that platform, the scaffolding behind it, is still being used. So it may be that they have to take this floor to a certain point and then wait a little while before they can finish it. We'll see how they work around that. In the laundry room, Mr. Rene finished off this tiled sink. He mostly got it done when we saw it earlier, but it's done. In the dirty kitchen, they have started to put the tiles in at the base of these cabinets. Still quite a lot to do. They're about halfway around this cabinet, and then just this little one over here left to do after that. Inside the now extremely dark home theatre room, the light's been switched off, so I'm sure this is going to come out very grainy. Apologies for that. They've got a lot more metalwork in place for the ceiling in here. Still tons and tons to do though. In the upstairs hallway, this little recessed area is going back towards wood again. It's not all the way down, and in fact just along here you can see it's got the colour, but the grain hasn't come through yet. So still more work to be done on this. This is Jack's bathroom, and I think now it's the only one that doesn't have the exhaust unit in place. If anybody's interested, there was a very good question today about those units that they were using, and I'm terribly sorry I've forgotten who it was, but I will put in both the name and the comments that were made. The unit is the Omni XFC 200, and the comment suggested we look at both the CFM statistic and the SONS. Now, as far as I can tell, SONS relates to the amount of noise they make. I couldn't find that number, but I did find that the decibel level is 48. Well, that's the end of the workday. I am going to try, if I can, to see if Bappa Jess is on site tonight. And I'm going to ask him if he could try and show me those upstairs lights after sunlight's gone. I can't promise I can do that, but if you stick around right to the end, you'll either see it or you won't. But that's the day with no plan, where a ton of stuff happened again. Maybe I should stop saying what the plan's going to be. No, I'm going to go back to it. Usually, there are elements in it that are correct. But it was, in many ways, delicious. Tile delicious, car delicious, wood delicious. So many things going on today that were good. There was a lot of skim coat or glazing putty applied again in various places, a lot of it upstairs, but not the most visually arresting footage if I film that, so I'll spare you. But nevertheless, a very, very good day. See you tomorrow. Bappa Jess has very kindly switched back on the power, and right now we can see the tube lights that are all on. We'll try and see if we can also get a look at the cove lights. Hold on a second. So now we've got both, but of course with those tube lights on, the LED strip lights don't really show up, so we'll try and get a third look with just the strip lights. Don't try this at home, folks. This is an electrician who knows what he's doing, but he's done what we ask. Take a look. That is marvellous. I don't know if that will be enough in the night time, but what we might be able to do is with a bit of tweaking and some smart switches, we might be able to have this so that if anybody comes along this corridor, just these lights come on, and we'll see if that's enough so that we don't wake up everybody else. But oh, I think that looks absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Bappa Jess.